Welcome back to the news desk here at the World Championship Las Vegas, Nevada. We are underway. Rich Hagan here at the news desk, and it has been a great start with Seth Manfield opening up on lots of red and some green near the end there. So red-green looking the way for Seth Manfield. The players have gone out of the room to build their decks. So we're about half an hour from round number one, but we're going to fill that with lots more draft action because, as we promised, our second drafter is Javier Dominguez, the finalist from Worlds last year. Every pick, every pack, as long as he isn't too hunched over his cards, you'll see them all with Simon and Maria. So here comes Javier Dominguez.
Hi there, Maria Bartholdi joined by Simon Gertzen, and we are going to cover Javier Dominguez's draft. Simon, how excited are you to watch Dominaria draft again?
Oh, I love it. It's one of my favorite draft formats, and I'm not alone in that. It's also quite challenging. You have a lot of avenues to go.
Yeah, and your favorite is red-green kicker, if I'm not mistaken?
Absolutely.
All right, well, we're going to check out the table that Javier was sitting on just to give you a refresher of where he was sitting in relation to Seth Manfield, who ended up pretty well in red. Marcel Carvalho, BBD, Javier Dominguez, Martin Yuza, Seth Manfield, Greg Orange, Mike Sigrist, and John Rolfe. There is a look at the table, so you can kind of see where Javier was sitting in relationship to Seth Manfield. So pretty well around the table from him, Simon.
Yeah, Javier wasn't really influenced too much by what Seth was drafting, but he was influencing what Seth saw during his packs 1 and 3.
All right, so as Rich mentioned, Javier did kind of like hunch over his cards a little bit, so we're going to do our best to kind of parse what he's drafting, and I do have a cheat sheet here in my hand as well, but we'll see what he chooses to do. As we said before, Seth Manfield, really, really heavy red in his draft, so we'll find out what Javier chose to do in this draft instead. If I had my pick, white, blue, historic, that's what I would do. I played a draft the other day on Magic Online. It was awesome, Simon. 3-0, no big deal.
Great. You could have played here.
Yeah, why am I not out there drafting with these guys right now? Well, let's take a look at Javier's draft and how it ended up here in just a few seconds. Dominaria draft heading back, kind of an old school throwback from not too long ago. I was interviewing some of the players actually, and they told me that this was, you know, a few of them said it was their favorite draft format of literally all time, Simon.
Is there some, did you get an idea of how difficult it is for players to go back to an old format? Because I think that's the hardest part.
That's a great point, Simon. And a lot of them said, you know, they were just pretty excited to get the chance to play it again.
I think we already missed the first pick,
All right.
Maria.
So I happen to know what it is, and it was Phyrexian Scriptures. So a really good pack one, pick one.
Yeah, great start to a black control deck.
Academy Journey Mage he has pulled to the front here, and this is one of my favorite cards in the set.
Yeah, it's really good in the aggressive Wizards deck, not so good in the control decks.
Caligo Skin Witch also kind of pulled to the front. The kicker on that can be devastating.
I love the Skin Witch. I think after Phyrexian Scriptures as a first pick, I wouldn't mind just continuing with the black control card, but he takes the Journey Mage instead.
Yeah, Academy Journey Mage, of course, excellent in blue-red Wizards, which I happen to know is one of the favorite archetypes to draft for these players.
But this also means that Javier is staying open. His double
Right.
black first pick doesn't dictate where he's going.
Ooh, we've got a nice black flyer here in Karzov Sanger Vampire. It's pretty expensive, though, at 7 mana.
Yeah, it's not really the casting cost you want in draft. It's great in sealed. You can play it in your control decks. You can even splash some red mana for it, but it's not a bomb in the traditional sense.
Sure. How heavy red do you need to be to play that card?
Not much. I think if you have 1 or 2 red sources, you're already happy to have it in your deck.
And splashing in Dominaria is easier than a lot of sets.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, I think Javier is open to almost anything, but black is where he got 2 rares.
Let's take a look at his fourth pick. All right, I see a Yargle in the pack.
Yeah, Yargle I think is a bit overrated. If you don't have legendary synergies, historic synergies, it's really easy to trade off. A card I really like is Gilded Lotus. If you have these really expensive decks with kicker, it's a card that I really value quite highly.
All right, he does in fact take the Yargle here. There was a Windgrace Acolyte in the pack too, which I happen to like.
Sure, but you don't want to pass a Yargle. You don't want to send any black legendaries to your left, so, because now Javier is trying to cut black to send a signal.
All right, here we go. Pick number 5, an Academy Drake pulled to the front here. I love this card.
Academy Drake in the pack, Lingering Phantom as well.
Do you like Lingering Phantom?
It's quite expensive, so you don't get as much value of it as you want. Academy Drake has Kicker. I love Kicker. You get a 3-mana 2/2 or a 7-mana 4/4.
Scales very well throughout the game. Coming together here, looking like he's leaning towards blue-black control, Simon.
Yeah, this means the Academy Journey Mage is probably a bit weaker than it could be, but otherwise he's gotten very good cards. There's a bit of card drawing. This is basically what you want in your control decks. You usually get enough removal. There's a lot of removal in Dominaria in these colors, but this means you need a few 2-for-1s.
Dark Bargain is going to be the pickup here for Javier Dominguez. Why is this card so good?
Instant speed, I think, is very important. And then there are not too many ways of just drawing cards in Dominaria. Divination and Dark Bargain is what you really need in blue-black control.
Taking a look through the pack here, I see another Caligo Skin Witch. There's a Syncopate as well. What do you like?
I like the Skin Witch still. It seems like Javier doesn't respect it as much. Maybe he thinks it's not as well positioned, but he does prefer it over Syncopate, which is also a good card, by the way.
How many Syncopates are you willing to run in a deck like Javier's building?
I don't think there are really big diminishing returns to Syncopate because you still have the mana that you want. It's great against kicker cards in particular.
Great point.
It's not Mana Leak, you know?
No. All right, so pulled to the front here for Javier is a Keldon Raider, which not a lot else in the pack for him.
This looks like a defensive draft, but he has a slight tendency to go for red as his backup color because he wants to have maybe some red sources anyway, so he can, in a drastic scenario, we could see him move into black-red instead of black-blue.
Pardic Wanderer near the front of the pack here for Javier. There's a Voltaic Servant I see hiding there as well. How do you feel about the Wanderer? It's a big body.
It's a big body, but it's also an artifact that can be really good in your deck, but it can also be a liability.
Oh, the Antiquities War. Amaranthine Wall as well. It's a little too late to get on this war, huh?
Yeah, it's you don't want to join that crusade. But if you start with it, like 3rd, 4th pick, you can actually build a deck around it.
Have you done it?
We've done it in Team Sealed.
It's really cool when it comes together.
Guardians of Colors is pretty late here. Quite a lot of synergies with it. If you pick up a Skittering Surveyor, a Saga, then it already has quite a few cool things to do.
Rounding out pack number 1 here, he picks a Rescue from the back of the pack. And this can be an okay sideboard card sometimes.
Yeah, if your deck is lacking, you know, the 22nd, 23rd playable, you can even main deck it, but it's not a great card on itself.
Seismic Shift, the pickup there as we round things out. And a Gaia's Blessing. All right, pack 1 in the books here for Javier. What do you think, Simon, as he reviews?
I like that his draft is taking a very clear direction, but I'm missing a few things that a control deck really needs, and most importantly, that's removal. You can't just win by playing expensive cards. You need to deal with the threats. You need to deal with evasive creatures. So a bit more removal and cheaper creatures is, I think, what he needs.
Is he going to be looking towards artifact creatures as well, considering that he has that Phyrexian Scriptures?
Honestly, I think that's like a small bonus if
Sure.
you can pick up an artifact creature. But Phyrexian Scriptures is a great magic card in itself, so you don't need to now go crazy and pick some Pardic Wanderers over better cards.
How well do you think this specific archetype that he's putting together for us here stacks up compared to, like, say, for example, your favorite red-green kicker, blue-white historic, or blue-red wizards?
Well, all these matchups are really different, so you have to see how they play out. But like I said, you need a few more removal spells, maybe something like the Eldest Reborn to really
Sure.
Put a stamp on a game.
All right, Javier Dominguez here in our first draft of the morning, starting things off with blue-black control. Although the roads are open, we're only starting pack 2.
Very different colors from Seth as well.
That's
so
true.
You can see those players 2 seats next to each other. I wouldn't say cooperating, but depending on what Martin Yuza is drafting, they're really distributing the colors well.
And cooperation is something that you want to do at a draft table. All right, let's take a look here at pack number 2, Squeeze the Rare. Ooh, divination. At the
Divination pull to the front. I saw a syncopate in the pack as well, but these card draw effects are quite rare. Actually, Merfolk Trickster is a really powerful card as well. Sometimes you can just snipe creatures
front.
that...
Oh, absolutely.
It's really astonishing how much the Trickster can do. Not as good in a pure control deck, though.
Oh, yeah, he is considering Syncopate. I see it there near the front of his picks. But Divination remains in the first place, and it is going to be what he's going to take.
I love this pick. You can easily play 18 mana sources and have Dark Bargain and Divination in your deck, and you know that in the late game, you're most likely not to flood because of those effects.
Pick up the cards. You have 35 seconds.
Taking a look here at second pack from pack number 2, I saw a land in there, Memorial to Folly.
That works actually really well with what I was just saying. You can play 18 mana sources without getting flooded, and this means lands with an additional ability are actually quite good. Windcraze Acolyte in the pack, but probably not in contention.
And Memorial to Folly is good for another reason, too. It's not taking a pick, essentially. It's not taking up a pick slot.
Yeah, if you get enough playables.
Right.
So
That's
in the
key.
third pick, in the third pack, you would actually know about your playable count. Now Javier is just optimistic enough that the Memorial is the pick.
Divination, Memorial to Folly, the first 2 picks from pack number 2 for Javier Dominguez.
Still no removal.
Great point, Simon. Let's take a look if he can find some here. There's a deep freeze. Does that count?
We have to count it. We can't be too picky here. Chainer's Torment definitely doesn't count. It's not a control card at all. Deep Freeze is not the removal he was looking for, but it is what he gets, and I think he absolutely has to take it.
Ooh, I see Tiana Ship's Caretaker lingering in that pack.
Actually, one of the weaker gold cards.
It is.
Weaker gold uncommons.
But it's definitely my style. So Deep Freeze, the pickup there for Dominguez.
Pick up the cards. You have 25 seconds.
Sticking to his blue-black colors that he chose in pack number 1. Another Divination here.
Yeah, now you're getting to the point of diminishing returns. You don't want to end up with 4 or 5 card draw spells, because then you're not going to have the board impact, the control elements that you want. But looking at this pack,
There's nothing else.
you don't want to take a 4-mana 4/2, so Divination.
At this point, if you're Javier, are you getting a little bit worried that you're being cut?
I wouldn't say cut, because your colors are open. It's not a problem of the colors, but it's a problem of not having the removal spells in those packs. Now, if that's whether somebody's taking them or if they're just not there, it doesn't really matter at this stage, because his colors are clearly defined.
How about a white card, Urza's Ruinous Blast, Simon?
Does that count as a removal spell?
I guess.
Yeah, you can take it here. You have a Yargle.
Yargle lives!
I think it's highly unlikely that it makes his deck.
Sure.
But depending on how the end result looks like, if he's really a deck with 3 card draw spells, he could just play 3 colors.
Yeah, where's Skittering Surveyor?
Well, that is going to get picked up by a lot of players.
Rona, Disciple of Gix, is headed to his pick pile here, and this is a good one for him.
That's more my style when it comes to
yeah?
the gold uncomes. Even though it's also not the most powerful, it's just a lot of fun to play.
Buying things back from your graveyard, drawing you cards. She
Another
does it all.
legendary as well. So,
That's true.
The Ruinous Blast.
Taking a look here, Syncopate once again moved to the front, and that's about all she wrote in this pack.
Very, very easy Syncopate pick. Not even something you would consider hate drafting here.
Dominant Trapper still left. I know that's a card you like.
Yeah. And like I was saying earlier, because of Kicker and how the set functions overall, players tend to spend their mana, and that means Syncopate is just good turn 2 to turn 10.
There's a Sentinel of the Pearl Trident. Now, this is a card that doesn't see a ton of play. How do you like it, Simon?
It's a flashy card. It's a little bit gimmicky, and in some decks it's insane. But I don't think Javier's deck is particularly set up to abuse it.
All right, he's going to pick it up here anyway. Sentinel of the Pearl Trident added to the pile there for Dominguez.
Pick up the cards. You have 10 seconds.
There's a Relic Runner, I believe, at the front of the pack here. I like this card, but he's not interested.
He's not interested in being aggressive. even if you end up with a few 2-mana 2/1s, you usually don't want to put them in your control deck because these are the slots where you need to play card draw and
Pick up the
removal.
cards. You have
All right,
10
so he
seconds.
picks up another Syncopate there. And this pick, which we didn't quite catch, I happen to know is a Voltaic Servant.
This can be nice if you want to sideboard it in to be more defensive. It's an artifact creature. We mentioned the synergies in his deck already, and ultimately, a 2-mana 1/3 is not terrible.
You don't always need that Icy Manipulator to go with it.
A bit weird that he doesn't take the.
No.
I think that's actually a really good sideboard card if you're playing against Fight with Fire.
Oh, sure. Instead, he did pick up the Ship's Caretaker there. Rounding things out here, the only blue card in the pack, Hammered Explorer. Not interested in the 4/2. 2 more picks left here in pack number 2. He's going to take Charge away from somebody. I've got by that card.
But against Fight with Fire.
True. And Drudge Sentinel rounding things out. All right, Simon. As he reviews, how was pack 2 for him?
Mediocre.
Yeah.
There's nothing spectacular about his picks. I mean, he got 1 removal spell. We will see here. He doesn't even put the Ruinous Blast into his pile. So right now he's firmly in blue-black. I guess we can count the wall as half a removal spell, but that means he's at 1.5. And
Yeah.
then Phyrexian Scriptures, okay, but ultimately his deck is lacking right now.
He's also got to think about ways to win the game as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a removal spell, it's fine to just win with whatever 4/4
Your
or
Academy
5/5.
Drake.
Sure, that's fine. But right now, I'm really concerned that he won't be able to deal with the more powerful uncommons and rares in the format at all.
Also, no way to fix mana.
No, and that's why it's really smart, I think, to not even think about the Urza's Ruinous Blast, which is not even a great card. It's very
No.
situational. It's quite symmetric. So splashing for that really means something has gone wrong.
Javier here reviewing packs number 1, number 2 here for our first draft of the morning. Revisiting Dominaria Draft, one of the best draft formats of all time, according to a lot of players and myself. Heading into pack number 3, looking for removal. Some big bombs, hopefully. Fingers crossed. If you had your choice, what would you open here, Simon?
Well, I think what he would really utilize well is a Skittering Surveyor. Now that doesn't sound like a super great pick, like a Bomb Rare or anything like that, but he has an issue with his curve and he wants to hit his land drop. So Skittering, any kind of, I think that's even than opening a
Wow, Skittering Surveyor, getting it done. I love that card.
The pack, you have 40
All right, here we go. Pack number 3, Slinvoda to the front. Very, very expensive. Ooh, there's a Fight with Fire. Can he play it?
No, I would be very surprised. That Bombardment on the other. That's a playable. It's actually quite a good card. So let's see if he wants to play against Fight with Fire.
10 seconds.
Looks like a defensive draft to me.
So no chance he's going to play that, Simon?
Well, are you gonna go full 3-color, or are you not gonna play blue cards?
I mean, maybe you're just trying to make your deck stronger but less reliable?
If he really sees an issue with how his draft has gone, there is a chance, but he needs to pick up subfixing if he wants to support that.
Taking a look here, there's another Relic Runner, Divination number 3. Are you really putting that in your deck?
The problem with these picks is he hasn't really had other alternatives. You don't want to pick another 2/1, which you don't want to play. So he's kind of forced into picking all these divinations, and he's not getting the payoff that he wants.
All right, there you go. Divination number 3 for Javier Dominguez after a pick of Fight with Fire here in pack number 3. Wow, I will be really interested to see what he chooses out of this next pack.
Maybe a red-white duel so he can splash the Ruinous Blast and the Fight with Fire.
Ooh, dream big, Simon. Dream big. I mean, look at him, though. He's really in the tank right now.
Well, that's how he always looks when he's drafting. His posture is very special.
All right, taking a look there. There's another Deep Freeze. Wow, he has pulled Shivan Fire to the front, though, and Valduk.
We might be seeing a switch in pack 3.
Oh my God, that is really late.
Yeah, but there's a deep freeze now, so I think if you can pick the blue removal spell, is he really abandoning blue for these few red cards? Interesting.
There it is. Shivan Fire is the pick. Okay, so he's got Fight with Fire, Shivan Fire. Maybe we'll see a shift over into red.
We have to mention here that he doesn't see his picks right now. He has to work from memory. So he's kind of rebuilding his deck on the fly. This is different from your casual draft or your Magic Online draft where you know at all stages what you've drafted.
Okay, so up front here is a Soul Salvage. Do you like this card in Dominaria?
I like it a lot, but you have to have the right deck for it. I think it's particularly good with the kicker creatures.
All right, so he is going to pick it up. There was other stuff in the pack that is traditional good cards like Thallid Omnivore, for instance, but he's not interested.
Thallid Omnivore, I think, is the first pickable card, but once you are in, I'll just call it Grixis control for now, you don't want it anymore.
I mean, he does have that Keldon Raider from earlier. I was trying to remember what red cards he possibly could have.
And the red activation on his Vampire, don't forget that. I mean, that is going to make a black-red deck quite strong as well.
Speaking of one Keldon Raider, one good turn deserves another. There it is, pulled to the front once again.
I think Javier might get rewarded here for being that flexible with his colors laid on in the draft, but we have to see how he really constructs his deck because right now it's really unclear which direction he's going to go.
One of my other favorite cards from Dominaria was in that pack. Get to Journey Mage. All right, so Keldon Raider was the pick. There's another Pardic Wanderer. Rampaging Cyclops if he wants to think about red, too.
He's pulling an op to the front. That's kind of weird because he's been picking all these red cards, and if he ends up in 2 colors, he's going to have a lack of playables, which means the Cyclops would be quite interesting here. I don't think he's abandoned blue quite yet.
No, he's going to pick up Opt here. Really interesting draft to watch.
When I started playing, we were joking about the infamous 666 mana base, 6 swamps, 6 islands, 6 mountains, bunch of card draw spells, and it's all going to work out.
There you go. Just cross your fingers and hope. Academy Drake, nice pickup though. But once again, it's blue.
Yeah, I think he's not abandoning blue. He's keeping his options open, and he will have a pretty difficult deck building time, deciding which cards are worth it. It's really about power versus consistency at this stage.
Let's take a look at what he picks up here. There's a final parting near the front, and I've got to say, Simon, I've never cast this card.
Yeah, let's see.
5 seconds.
This is desperation mode, it seems like.
Wow. Not great. Not great.
They have 6 cards to your left. Pick up the cards. You have 10 seconds.
Here's the first pack that he opened here, number 3, Slinvoda coming all the way around the table, just too costly, and Op pulled to the front as well.
No respect for Windgrace Acolyte.
No, that is kind of surprising to me. I like that card.
Yeah, it's quite solid, especially the first one. I don't think you want too many of them. Self-mill is not all that beneficial, but I'm surprised that he's shipping all of them.
And a fat lot of nothing in here for him. Warlord's Fury, I guess.
Hate draft. From the Andrew Cuneo special, mono red.
Oh man, I love the mono red
I mean,
deck in Dominaria.
Seth was going in the direction, so
That's true.
Cards. You have 5 seconds.
Rounding out pack number 3 here, Divest is going to be the pick.
you can see that the Chainer's Torment is really
No.
not a great card in Limited.
It was really interesting though when the set was first previewed, how you kind of thought to yourself, how good will Chainer's Torment be?
It's difficult to evaluate.
Yeah.
Befuddle, by the way, can be a nice main deck card in a control deck.
All right, Befuddle is the pick there, and he is going to go up and take that Chainer's Torment there to round things out here. For his draft last pick, Curator's Ward. Well, that won't see the deck. All right, Simon, there you have it. Dominaria draft of Javier Dominguez. How do you like it?
I think his deck has a few issues, and if he hits the wrong matchups, then he's going to be in a quite a bit tough spot. I mean, this is a difficult pod. All 3 pods are, of course, difficult.
yes.
He needs to fight if he wants to get 2 match wins with this deck.
And you mentioned how hard his deck building process is going to be with this deck. Is he going to put those red spells in if you had to put money on it?
I would put them in, for sure. I think the power level without red is not high enough, the amount of playables and the impact of his cards.
And Urza's Ruinous Blast, yes or no?
No, I think that would be going too far.
All right, so blue-black control splashing red for Javier Dominguez. We'll see how it plays out coming up, and we'll have more Magic coming up in just a second. I don't know, Simon. See how his deck plays out?